That was like a cold opening. Sorry, everyone. Hello. Andy thought he'd nailed the tech. And
yeah, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Welcome to us. Welcome to you. You okay, Andy?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good. Everyone just looking at us, staring blankly, like we don't know what we're doing.
We don't.
Luckily, we have some guests coming on. So.
No, I'm pretty convinced I pressed it, but it's changed. These things. You just have to deal with us for another minute. It's just 1 minute more of me and Jess. I'm extremely sorry to everybody. Everybody's in the comments already. Curious Crandall, I don't recognize your name. Evening, hello, welcome. Kevin B, hi all. Hello everybody. Jim Glancy, hello everyone. Chris Randall, evening. Back again, looking forward to some tasty drams. Steve Coleman Williams, good evening everyone. Good evening, Steve. Haven't heard from you in a while. Hope you're well. Richard Wingrove as well. Good evening all. Rick R, hello. Lovely. Everybody is joining. Jess, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really looking forward to this. I kind of slipped my mind that St. Patrick's Day was on the horizon until I thought about Irish whiskey. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, so am I. Really, very much looking forward to it. A real bonga saying hello. Lots of people up, and then the other comment is me saying, is the holding squaren up? I just evening from Essex, Barry Morgan, Coleman McGoldrick. Sup, guys? I like that. Nice and casual. So welcome back, everybody who's regular with us at Pour a Sip or been to any of these tastings before. If you haven't been to any of these tastings before, what have you been doing? Why haven't you been here? God's sake. Sorry, just children screaming upstairs. This is all going on. Where have you been? But if you are new here, please get involved. Please let us know your tasting notes. Please let us know what you think about the whiskies.
Any questions, fire them away.
We've got some awesome guests lined up for you tonight. Nick Tarrant, hi, from Lichfield. That's in bold. Is that Lichfield? Is that's in bold? Usually the things in bold I have to read.
Well, a notable
area. I only missed 1 month, but nice to have you back too, Andy. Yeah. Yes, been a while.
Same time.
And yeah, so Jess, you want to walk us through the order of proceedings for tonight?
Yes.
We will
be in the box today, you have 3 Irish whiskies, all of which we're tasting tonight, and 2 Scotch whiskies. And we are lucky enough to try one of each style of Irish whiskey. So we're kicking off with Saints and Sinners and Rebels and Rogues, 18-year-old, with head of whiskey and an award-winning blender, Sam Simmons. Then we have Glendalough, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Pot still Irish whiskey with their World Whiskey Ambassador Kealan. And we're kicking rounding things off with a brand new release, which is Temris 5-year-old PX Sherry Cask with founder and head of innovation, Stephen. So that is a stacked lineup.
That seems
better than Glastonbury, dare I say.
Yeah, exactly. And then, if that wasn't enough, me and Jess are going to take you on a very, very brief tour of the last 2 jams, which is the Ballechin and the Glen Garioch. Which again, I've been pronouncing Glen Garioch until Jake just said it there backstage.
Yeah, I got told on that one pretty quickly about when I started trying to say whiskey names. That one, I embarrassed myself quickly with that one.
Yeah, it was up there with my Ledaig one as well. Time.
But a pain.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's enough of us, isn't it? I think it's probably time to get trying some whiskey and get some guests on, right?
Agreed.
Again, just need to
press the right buttons.
not quite as it's been a while.
Sam,
easy on me, everybody. I know everyone's backstage going, what is he doing? So there we go. That's right.
Hello.
Welcome, Sam.
Hi guys.
How's it going?
I've loved watching the tech. That's better than any whiskey chat you could muster.
Yeah, exactly. Watching people struggle with technology is always.
The bar is low, Sam. Okay.
Yeah. The bar is really low on this one. It was press a button. It was. It was a really low tech bar.
Where are you coming to us from today, Sam? Because you mentioned some time difference.
I am in Norway.
Oh, lovely.
The capital of Irish whiskey.
Norway.
What time is it for you?
It's just an hour later.
Okay.
There's no excuse to be here late. There's no excuse.
No, I know. Yes, they're making fun of me because I literally logged into this, I think, 60 seconds before they went live. And I do apologize. That was just an oversight.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but
I was deep into the finale, the final 20 minutes of Wicked, which you just can't leave.
I'm really sorry.
No,
we had to
it's,
take you away.
tough. Well, it's not even the finale, is it? Because let's be honest, there's another 2.5 hours coming in
Finale
November.
of part 1.
December.
This message has been brought to you by the producers of Wicked.
Yeah, that's a plug. Maybe we'll get back to Wicked.
And green skin, Irish. No, I don't know.
Actually,
Tenuous link, but it's not bad. That's about as good a segue as we could have got, really.
right. Well, I mean, where to begin? We'll begin with you, Sam, because you are winner of Blender of the Year, which is pretty cool.
Wiener. Well, as people at work say, Blender of last year.
Oh, really? That's rude.
It's instantly passe. Actually, no, not now. We're Blender of last year. I think it was 2023, and that was, yeah, man, what an honor that was. That was amazing.
Well, explain to us, because the brand that you're representing today is And Whiskey, but explain to us your blending situation. Who do you blend for? Who do you work for?
Well, I'm open to new blends. I like long walks on the beach and
Pina coladas.
If you like pina, yes, I'm really fortunate to work for Adam Brands, a sister company of Master of Malt, sort of the own label part of that company, where I guess years ago when the business started in the digital world, they realized it'd be cool to start making some of our own products, Bathtub Gin, that particular whiskey company. And then as the business grew, they thought there was an opportunity to do even more. And I joined in 2018, leaving William Grant Sons, where I'd been for just under a decade, to try and get involved in that. And then, so that was looking at the stocks that the business had, the stocks that we had access to, and what to do with them, how to slice and dice them into new and interesting brands, products, limited editions, labels, boutique themes. And we've had the freedom really to test a lot of brilliant and daft ideas. Some of them stick. And the great thing about being associated with and close to Master Malt is we can test a lot of those ideas pretty quickly. We can put them out there with a low risk and see if does anyone care about a whiskey with a label that looks just very simple, like Cards Against Humanity meets that Beatles T-shirt from the old days. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, and if they do, we'll try more. And so that's really fun, and that's the core of the role, is finding ways to slice and dice, because we're not distillers, to get whiskey from our partners, suppliers, and distillers that we like or are interested in, and make them into something new or amplifying those distillery stories.
Yeah. Well, I guess luckily the first release in the And Whiskey range, which was Seaweed and Aeons and Digging and Fire, if you didn't know, if you were unsure if people were going to like it, I think they definitely did.
Yeah, I think that was COVID, wasn't it, Jess?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were at home saying, what am I going to do tonight? Oh, yeah, I'll order something from Master of Malt and try something I've never tried before, share with people online in these type of environments, right? We got used to that at that point. Yeah, Seaweed and Eons and Digging and Fire was an idea, like I say, just a simple label where all the complexity is inside the glass and everything interesting is inside the bottle. But the label was to be simple, and the back even says something along those lines. We believe in balance. We believe the contents of this bottle are complex and carefully crafted. We believe that the outside needn't be any of these things. Believe responsibly. And that's where it started, the Seaweeds and Eons and Digging and Fire, which aren't tasting notes. It's a description of what peat is. Seaweed plus thyme, plus cutting it from the ground and burning it gives that smokiness to the barley that goes all the way through the milling and the mashing and the fermenting and the distilling and the maturation. So you get smoky whiskey at the end. We did an 18-year-old in the same livery. We did American whiskey in the same sort of idea, charcoal and a cornmeal. And now the newest member is what we are sharing with Pour and Sip members tonight, which we're really grateful for. Thanks for doing that. Is the Saints and Sinners and Rebels and Rogues.
Also not tasting notes.
Well, I've never. Let's not confess.
No. So how many And Whiskey iterations are there now? Is it 4 or 5, or are you counting?
Well,
not counting the age statements, I guess, because obviously,
ignoring those differentiation, it's the classic sort of it's Islay, Highland, Speyside. We have blended Scotch whiskey, blended grain Scotch whiskey, a 30-year-old called Butterscotch, and American whiskey we've gone into, Canadian whiskey we've gone into, and finally Irish now with high age statements is where we're trying to explore. And
What
it's taken
took you
time.
so long?
Yeah, well, no, you're right. It's taken time. I think.
No, but genuinely, I mean, what's the process of like, you know, what was the process of going out and finding the whiskey for this blend? Can you disclose anything?
Yeah, I can disclose that that I can't disclose anything. I can disclose that when I started with Adam in 2018, we had grain Irish whiskeys from a few different single grain distillers. We had malt whiskeys of good maturity, 13 to 15, 16-year-old too, I think, from different distilleries. And just from then till now, there's so many more Irish single malts and grain whiskeys and other types of whiskeys coming out of Ireland. There's even more to choose from, but they don't have that age. But that stuff that we had then, we let mature and we put into certain types of cask to try and let time do a lot of the work and end up at somewhere that we could blend it into something quaffable. In the case of seaweed, but also in Saints and Sinners, the objective is, of course, to be perfect for the first dram of a night like this, where you're tasting something that's mature. It's 18, but it's also dangerously gluggable. And I think great Irish whiskey can be like that, should be like that. And so this is trying to be in that sort of tradition. It's very intentionally not supposed to be carefully mulled over. Oh, I'm getting notes of tropical fruit. Oh, yes. Is it mango? I don't know. Is it papaya? Could be. Instead, cheers to all your saints, to all your sinners. Woof. And that's sort of the driver.
Well, someone here's just written they're getting notes of pineapple, or is it papaya? No, I'm joking. I don't know, says someone else. It might be mango. No, I'm getting more green fruit. No, I'm joking. Lots of good notes coming through here. But who came up with the? This is just a question for me. Who came up with the branding idea and the naming idea of the and?
Yeah, so the and is a fusion of great borrowed ideas. If you've seen that Beatles poster and T-shirt from about 25 years ago, there was a Dutch design company that had John and Paul and George and Ringo. Mm-hmm. So I've always loved that. I had a whiskey themed band called Barley, Stills, Mash, and Ton. And we used a similar logo there. And then when I started at Adam, it's one of the ideas we threw around, mixed with the sort of modern simplicity of something like Cards Against Humanity, which I think the kids have sitting around here somewhere. Not the adult version.
And they're only 5. They've got the Cards Against Humanity.
They've learned a lot of new words.
Yes.
And it gives a lot of creative freedom to play with words and language, to immediately associate and to be quite emotive if you need to be. It's a fun platform, we thought, to launch from. So we tested the Isla, as Jess very kindly said, that did really well, and we've tried different iterations through the years. And now, this is the newest one. This one I have to give credit to a brainstorming session or two with our good friend James Goggin, who helped make sure that we weren't getting too racy or offensive with some of our Irishisms, but that we were just exciting enough to be sort of like, whoa, and hopefully touch a few heartstrings, whether it's a reference to Molly Malone or to song, Saints and Sinners. You know, there are references we can sort of dig at without or touch upon without, hitting it right on the nose.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've gone in quite hard with this one as well, like the first release being an 18-year-old. Where do you go from here?
It's a good. Well, if no one's interested and it doesn't become a thing, probably nowhere, and it'll be one batch and done. Our batches are, because of our facility and the tanks that I use to marry things, and the team in Edinburgh uses, or in Tunbridge, we're talking about 1,000 bulk liters at a time. So if that's it, then that'll be whatever the 1,400 bottles that we made. That'll be the end. But it's been doing really well. I think something like this, sharing it with whiskey explorers and drink explorers like the Pour and Sip members, is perfect. It's trying something different that people haven't tried before. Hopefully a face of Irish whiskey that's a little bit different while still familiar. Tropical fruits, warehouse tastes, a bit of that maturity because of 18. We have access to older inventory. So I've got 32-year-old Bushmills that we've used, 21-year-old Cooley peated malt, we could do 21-year-old, and we could also go younger. We have 8-year-old, really gorgeous first fill bourbon Cooley grain that we could use in blending, which is a lovely base. So we could go 8-year-old to be a little more affordable, but I think an 18-year-old at the sort of price that this is also peerless. And that's part of the point of what we do at And Whiskey as well, is to make something that's as accessible as it can be for
what is this? Because you guys are going to get a pour and sip discount on this one from the members store.
Under £50, guys.
I was about to say, what is the actual retail price regarding?
So it's £60, but the members get it for 50. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, under.
18-year-old, £50. I would be rushing into the pour and sip store for that one. Just going to read you out a few notes, Sam, that people are saying. Start with Peter Gilmore. Getting strong apples and vanilla fudge to the nose. Real Boingo. I get syrupy peaches on the nose. Peter Ray. Liquid toffee. Clive Hampson saying orangey, caramel and lightly floral. Chris Randall appears oily in the glass with a buttery nose. Lovely colour. Steve Coleman Williams. Tinned apricots. Burnt crumble topping for me.
I agree a lot on that one.
Burnt crumble.
Yeah, it's like a little apple peachy crumble thing.
Yeah. Peter Gilmore, butterscotch and syrupy fruit on the palate. Mike Pizarro, green apple and citrus oil, slightly buttery. And there's lots of notes coming through on this one. Simon, nose changes as it breathes more. Was quite sharp apple on the nose at first, now much sweeter. Curious Crandall says the Christmas cake and dark chocolate and medjool dates and cinnamon 8-year-old whiskey is a firm favourite in our house.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Peter Gilmore, creamy, lingers finished with toffee and Colm McGoldrick. Heavy toffee apples on the nose and Real Boingo. There's loads of notes coming through here. Real Boingo, the taste is vanilla toffee and some sultanas for me. Mike Pizarro saying it's super smooth. Can't place the flavors with buttery and fudgy while still being light and fruity and delicious. Lastly, Barry Morgan, easy sipper with a short finish. Drinks younger than the age statement. Not nice orange bitters smell and taste. This is what you were saying, Sam, about it's an easy sipper, an easy pour and sipper. This one, so.
Yeah, but some of those flavors, that's really great feedback. I love hearing all those notes, and I think there's no wrong answers except for that one. No, I think the tinned fruits and that sort of confectionery fruitiness is a hallmark of Irish whiskey. You always hear tropical fruits, but I think in this whiskey it's quite on purpose with the bourbon cask that we use for malt, pot still, and grain whiskeys. To try and amplify that as much as possible. So although, yes, it is quaffable and it might drink like at a younger age, I probably agree with you actually, but some of those flavors aren't achievable until more mature ages. And remember, when you see an age statement on a bottle of whiskey, that's the youngest constituent part.
Such a buttery finish on that. That is just lingering. That's what's just hitting me right now. It's really, really pretty good, that buttery finish. Lovely. Mike Pizarro is the best thing I've tried from the And Whiskey range, which is saying something. Which is not saying something. The rest is not. Oh, I won't read that now. I'm joking. Which is saying something. I really enjoyed the.
Oh, you had it there.
Peter Burrett, smooth, sweet, and creamy with caramel, butterscotch, lovely dram. As a unanimous kind of appreciation of this one. I think it's just really, really good and just. Like you were saying, it's not one to sit and mull over. It's just really good stuff. Absolutely wonderful. What do you think, Jess?
I love it. I always sort of tend to go for slightly like easier sippers, I think. But it's funny because I was just thinking how most times, people like will release a young whiskey and be like, but it drinks older.
Yeah. And
then this time you've got a whiskey that the youngest component is 18 years old, and you're like, yeah, but it's so easy because it's like, it drinks younger kind of thing. Like in a good way.
It drinks like a 50-pound whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good price point, that one.
Yeah, get on that, guys. So hopefully with that sort of feedback, it won't just be a one batcher. Also, I wanted to go back for a second because you were just naming the distilleries that you were just naming. Are those what are in this whiskey?
I need to be careful here. So
I was gonna.
It's how it works. It's not because I'm trying to be secretive. Part of it is maybe I am trying to be a bit secretive because if this continues, it will always change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the inventory we have is always fluctuating. So part of my job isn't the fun part, believe me, but it's managing inventory. Mm-hmm. And trying to plan for unknown future uses or draws on those liquids without tying up money for too long and trying to beat interest rates for whoever's investing in this crazy venture. Mm-hmm. So, there's that boring sort of coldness, but there's also the romance of like, well, I want to find another cool thing that Louise McGuane has in her warehouses. Like there's bonders and brokers in Ireland now that have depth of inventory that's fascinating and things that can't be repeated from history as well. So having
is there a little clue there into what was in there when you said Louise?
I'm sorry?
Is that a little clue into what was in there as well?
Well, they might Louise may have worked with us to source some of the liquids in the past. Yeah, definitely. That became parts of this, but there's others too. And big distilleries, tiny brokers, and now I'm working very closely with Dave Broom and Adam Park on their upcoming follow-up to their Scottish film called The Amber Light, called The Amber Isle, where they're in Ireland doing things. And so we're working. We've had some amazing small craft distilleries across Ireland send us liquid that Dave Broom and I are going to blend together and also release a blend from there. So I think there'll be inventory coming from there as well. It won't be 18 or 21 years old because these are smaller distillers. But but just Bushmills, Cooley, of course,
Amazing. I see as well that fellow boutiquier Dave Worthington called this a dancing whiskey, and I'm just kind of curious whether you had like a big party to celebrate its release.
No, but that's great. I would totally agree with that. I got into whiskey living in Edinburgh in Scotland and going down to the Cayleys at the Caledonian Brewery. And there is such a thing as a drinking whiskey, which is a different thing than mulling over sitting in a mahogany room on a leather couch with your buddies.
So you said drinking whiskey or dancing whiskey?
He said it was a dancing whiskey.
Dancing whiskey.
I hope every whiskey is a drinking whiskey, isn't it? Otherwise, aftershit.
I just found it was an undrinkable whiskey. It's not a drinking whiskey. No, it's a dancing whiskey.
No, a dancer whiskey where you have it in your hand and you have a swash and you spin people around a dance floor and then you have a swash again.
Oh, okay. Can't remember the last time I was on a dance floor.
Well, this will get you on it, Andy.
This is the one. This is the whiskey that will get me back on the dance floor.
Yeah, exactly. We've got other people tooting the And whiskey range, by the way. We've got Steve Coleman Williams saying that he's a fan of all of the And whiskies, but the seaweed is his favorite. He's just discovered And Oak, which, although they haven't tried it yet, time to add another one to the collection.
Yeah.
The Oak And, is that what he said? I missed you cut out there for a second.
Yeah, the And Oak, sorry.
Yes, cool. Yeah. So that's the space side. So they're regionally split. Yeah.
Would there be potential to do like a cask strength release of this one if it all goes well?
Yeah, but I do think with blended whiskey, the quaffability, the ABV is part of what makes it work. And I don't know. We do always explore that if people think it's worthwhile. The thing I think a lot of people forget as well is that has a cost. So when you concentrate the liquid, the liquid inside the bottle is more expensive. So is the duty. So the amount of you have to pay on the alcohol, the tax you have to pay on, we have to pay on the alcohol, and then you as the end consumer have to pay on the alcohol. And then of course the VAT on that total value is greater. So the product ends up being disproportionately more expensive, as long as everyone understands that. Because you often see people, and you probably used to be one of them when I got into whiskey, is I love this one, but the cask strength is too expensive. Well, the cask strength it's the exact same price. It's just more expensive because of all the component bits that make it more expensive. I'm not sure if a blended Irish whiskey drinker wants that. If they do, man, of course we'll try that. I have tried it. My sample actually is 54%, the one I'm sipping, because I don't have a bottle.
Oh man,
I know. And I've added tons of water. Okay. So I prefer to drink it. It has more room. I think with great quality grain whiskey, strong flavored malts, and like I hinted already, I shouldn't say too much. There's quite a bit older malt whiskeys in here. And those have room in good light on good grain, flavor some spirits, have more room to dance, to use Dave's metaphor, or like on stage, if you've ever worked in theater, like lighting, there's different types of lights. There's pure white, but then there's also mixes with pink, mixes with blue to showcase on different main characters. And that's a utility of grain in blending.
Oh, I love that visualization of it.
Yeah. What's the daftest idea you had in that blending room? Because you mentioned about having the daft idea. What was one that sticks out as like a particularly daft idea, but at the time you were like, well, maybe this one?
We've got a thing coming out with the idea of the label is pretty daft. The liquid's great, but I can't. That's April Fool's. You'll see it soon enough, but it's real. It's an April Fool's, but it's a real. It's so unbelievable that we had to make it.
I remember. I can't remember who it was who confused me on an April Fool's, and they did a post. It was like releasing some kind of. I think it was even like a Vimto whiskey or something like that, and it completely got me.
It was a Master of Malt.
Was it Master of Malt?
It was a tonic wine.
Something like that. I can't remember. And I was like, no.
That's where we took Macallan, the most coveted single malt in Scotland, and stripped it of its rights to be called Scotch or Macallan by putting it into a barrel that used to hold Buckfast.
Yeah, I was like, can we say the name?
I'm not sure if we can say it.
A tonic wine.
Yeah.
I like Buckfast. I don't care what anyone says.
I completely agree.
I love Buckfast. It's great.
They're the good example, Andy. That was a daft idea. That whole project, but that was really cool.
Really good.
The result was great, and we got to work with Rhythm and Booze project, which is really fun. That was a cool one. I think one product that does pretty well, but it was a daft idea to begin with, is Burnt Ends, this barbecue themed whiskey where we take Isla whiskey and mix it with bourbon. With rye whiskey, excuse me, from America. Those two things together in a bottle that looks like barbecue sauce, but it's done really well, and we sell them pallets to all over the world.
It's cool that you get to try this stuff as well, because you might not get that working for distilleries and stuff like that. You actually get to try out your hands on this mad stuff.
It is a dream, and one of the real advantages. Yes, of course, I can have a daft idea, but if someone on this call or someone sends me a message, I'm Dr. Whiskey on Instagram. We can listen to stupid ideas and turn them into reality quick.
The Willy Wonka of whiskey.
Willy Wonka of whiskey. I'll take it. And I think that is a dream. You're absolutely right. That I don't think there are other businesses where we can get away with that sort of speedy innovation and taking a chance on something that's. We did Bon Iver had a song that he leaked for his upcoming record called Speyside. So we did Bon Iver with the H at the front.
Was that a recent thing?
Yeah, it's a recent thing because that album hasn't even launched yet. But
I was about to say, is that Speyside spelled? It is about Speyside, is it?
Yeah, it's spelled Speyside. But
one of my favorite artists.
Like a Spotify playlist. Well, Bon Iver with the H in our iteration. But a stupid idea, but because we can.
Yeah.
That's cool. Great.
That's
very grateful.
That's cool to anyone watching. Send Dr. Whiskey your ideas.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes, please. I'll steal them and take full credit.
I'm conscious of time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Already 8.
Thanks, guys.
Wicked's over. Sam's done his bit.
Did you miss the bit?
There's still time.
There's still time.
No, thank you so much for kicking us off with a bang.
Yeah,
it's a good place to start. Thanks for having us first. I think that really that's a great place to start a tasting like this. I've seen what else we're having in the pack. It's perfect. So thanks.
I was keen on starting with the Ballechin at the 58% Ballechin. That's what I would have heavily featured. Yeah, just to then try this. No, thank you very much, Sam, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers. Enjoy the rest of Wicked if you haven't missed
out. Wicked.
Oh, hello.
Okay, bye-bye.
What have you got there?
An alcohol program. Okay.
Right, what a start.
Our first pour and sip I don't know, child cameo.
Mike Pizarro saying he's got lots of crazy ideas. You won't make a fortune from them, though. Chris Randall saying great guest. Everyone really enjoying that. Okay.
Same.
Next, we have up.
It's pot still time.
Pot still time, and we're going properly to Ireland. We're going to be talking to Kealan. How's it going?
Hello, I'm doing very well. How are you guys doing?
Really well, thank you, mate. Thank you for. Have you tried any of the And whiskey range before?
And that was my first one. It's amazing.
Have you got the box with you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. We are doing that again. I get confused. Sometimes we send guests the box. Sometimes we don't.
I think we're back on it.
We're back on it. Okay.
I'm privileged to get to try them as well. So very nice.
Awesome. So you're new on Pour and Sip. Never been here before. Talk to us a bit about yourself and how you got into the industry.
About myself. So I grew up in Derry in the north of Ireland, and then I moved to London for university about 11 years ago, I believe, and kind of fell into the hospitality route that way. So I started like bar backing in cocktail bars in Soho while I was at uni. Then I ended up moving up to Scotland for 3 years. So I worked in bars in Aberdeen for a year, and then the Bright Lights of Dundee for 2 years. And then at that point, the person who I was with, the reason I moved there, I decided to move to Abu Dhabi, and I don't think they make whiskey there yet. So I decided maybe a step too far. Yeah. So I moved back to London to get serious about bartending. Worked in some quite nice bars around the city the past few years. Worked in a bar called Original Sin, then an Irish bar called Homeboy, and there's a bar in Hoxton called Happiness Forgets, which I was in for the past 3 years before taking on this role. So yeah, I've been the Mangrove World Whiskey Ambassador for about 4 months now. It's very fun, very exciting. The world is the key part in the title because I look after 17 whiskies from 14 different countries, and none of them are Scotland, ironically. And so we've got the likes of Australia, New Zealand, Japan, India, Denmark, obviously, Canada, America, Ireland, England, and we've got 2 Mexican whiskies because you never know when one's
just see which one sticks. What are the Mexican whiskies called? I tried one the other day.
We've got the Fair Oaxaca whiskey and then Abasolo.
That's the one I tried there.
Whiskey.
Okay, yeah. There's
small portfolio then.
Portfolio, yeah.
That's really whiskies. So.
Why don't you get the global brands ambassador? They're doing a great job, isn't it? Because you're literally just going to be everywhere. Sam Simmons there saying Homeboy. Clearly likes that. No, well, never been. Where does he say it was? Hoxton?
Homeboy's in Islington.
Okay. All right then. Well, bring us on to the whiskey. We're talk to us a bit about Glendalough.
All right, so we're trying Glendalough today. It's a relatively new whiskey in Irish terms. It was founded by 5 friends in 2011 who just had a passion for spirits, and they first started distilling Ballechin. That's what they first made.
What is that for anyone who doesn't know? Because I really love it, by the way.
So Ballechin it's kind of has a lot of the same rules as whiskey. So it's kind of distilled from either lots of different grains, but it could also be like barley, oats, sugar beet, or sugar cane. And it is distilled, still triple distilled, but it can only be aged or rested, as it's called, for a maximum of 10 weeks.
Okay.
So that's the main difference. So it's kind of a more like herbaceous kind of floral white spirit, I would say. Have
you tried it, Jess?
No, I actually haven't, but I feel like it would be up my street.
yeah, it's really, really good. But this is whiskey tasting. So Alex started with, pronounce it again, because I always say Poitin.
I would say Ballechin, but I guess it depends where on the island you are. Everyone pronounces it differently. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but it means small pot, basically. Okay. That's what they used to make it in.
Okay, cool.
Speaking of pots.
Yes. So Glendalough started making their first whiskey was released in 2017, and that was the pot still that we have today. And so Glendalough, they have a distillery for Ballechin and gin, but they don't actually distill whiskey at their distillery yet. They're currently building a purpose-built distillery for that, which will be ready in about 2 years. Well, they say 2 years, so probably 4 years. So they do what's called contract distilling, is where they get a much larger scale distillery in Ireland to make a new make white spirit for them to their exact science. And what Glendalough try and focus on in all their products is the casks, and they really care about the wood and where it comes from and how that impacts the flavor. And so the pot still is aged for about 3 to 4 years in ex-bourbon casks that have been charred, as all their whiskeys start off like that. And then the cool thing about this one is then it is finished off between 6 months and a year in Irish oak, which is quite rare. Irish oak is very hard to get a hold of. Like about 1,000 years ago, Ireland was about 80% forested. They used to, the old wives' tales that a squirrel could go from the top to the bottom of the island without touching the ground and the branches. But now it is at 11%, I believe. So in Europe, we are 40th out of 44 for forested countries. I think it's like Malta and Iceland are behind us.
No, okay.
So obviously, there's a lot of conservation behind Irish oak.
Yeah.
So luckily, they find somewhere that's only 15 minutes from the distillery in Glendalough, and so they cut down 14 trees, and from each tree they got around 2 to 3 casks, and they said one really big tree, which they got 5 from, and for each tree that they felled, they planted another 7.
Oh, okay, cool.
To kind of get more. And then I have the bottle here, but on every bottle you can see the batch number and the tree number of where your bottle came from.
Cool.
Which is quite a nice touch.
Pretty cool.
And this is a dissection of a tree that's very hard to see in this camera as well.
Yeah, I could kind of make it out. I don't know if it was like someone on a cross like that, but it's a tree.
That's what I thought.
I thought it was someone on a cross like that, but I was like, okay, I won't say anything.
Yeah, so this is not Christ the Redeemer, funnily enough.
That's okay, fine. It's just from here, it looked a little bit like it. I was thinking.
It is St. Kevin. So
talk to us about St. Kevin. There's a bit of a history there, and about the history of the distillery in St. Kevin.
Yeah, so St. Kevin was said to be the man who founded Glendalough. Glendalough historically in Irish means the Valley of Two Lakes, and it's also known as the Garden of Ireland. It's very beautiful. It's right by the Wicklow Mountains. There's forests, lakes. It's very nice and green. And when St. Kevin founded it, he was said to have given up a life of riches to be one with nature. And they said that he was so one with nature that once a raven nested on his head for 3 days and didn't move. And that's the raven there.
Okay, okay, fine. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, around the time that he founded Glendalough is when monks first started distilling spirits in Ireland as well. So when they founded Glendalough, they wanted to tie that in.
Okay. Where is the whiskey being sourced from then?
I can't say, I believe, but it is Ireland.
It is Ireland. Okay.
Yeah.
And when they're sourcing whiskey, is there a particular style that Glendalough are looking for?
So I think they're just looking. So they've got their pot still. They've got a single malt, and then they've got a single grain. They all come from the same distillery. So they wanted 3 distinctive styles that then they could use 3 different casks with.
Yeah.
In order to see the difference between the styles and the casks and how they work together.
Okay, because they've used the cask seems to be quite important as well. And you talk about the woods. I think they've used experiments with stuff like Mizunara casks as well.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so they've got a Mizunara cask. That's their 7-year-old single malt.
Okay.
Which also Japanese oak is once again very hard to get a hold of. So I think an American oak tree takes around 80 or 90 years before you can make a cask out of it. These Irish trees were 130, but the Mizunara ones were 250, and they grow very twisted. They have loads of nuts, so they're generally quite hard to make casks from. But some weird and wonderful flavors.
It's just choosing very difficult cask and expensive.
Making the jobs very hard,
making life very hard, but also really good. So this one we're trying is, you said, the Irish oak cask finish. Was it 6 months? Did you say?
It's between 6 months to a year finished in Irish oak before.
Okay. It says here selected under continuous cover forest management system. Okay. I've never heard that before. What is that?
I think that's the replanting of the saplings.
Okay, cool.
Restore the forest.
Okay, that's cool. So that's the sustainability thing.
Yeah.
Just looking at some of the notes coming through now, because we might as well start drinking, and people are really enjoying this one. Peter Gilmore to the nose, barley and earthy and oak and spice. Steve Coleman Williams, very strong lemon and oats on the nose for me. Mike Pizarro, quite alcohol heavy on the nose, pear drops, letting it rest a minute. My wife's nose says very smooth vanilla, chocolate, touch of apple and cereals. Peter Gilmore, spicy herbs and oak, hint of leather. Mike Pizarro, spiced toffee biscuits and biscuits, toffee biscuits, and Cole McGoldrick, right away. Not your common notes for a single pot still whiskey. Very interesting, getting a nutty note on the nose, almost like a nutty soda bread, if you can imagine that. I actually agree with that. So just talk to us a little bit about classically what you would expect from a kind of Irish single pot still whiskey.
So I think from pot stills, you'd expect that kind of a bit of spice, a bit like green fruits that you get from most Irish whiskies. Little bits of toffee notes. The pears come through quite a lot. I think this one is the Irish oak. It's almost Christmassy, I would say. You get that kind of cinnamon and nutmeg, and it's chewy almost, I would say. Yeah.
There's definitely kind of a nutty thing going on here. Actually, Peter Ray said definitely nutty. Toasty, real bunga. I get fruit jellies, candy, and cinnamon stewed apples on the nose. Buttery caramelized mixed nuts on the palate with a very cereal bar finish. Steve Howdy Doody. It always gets me that one. Steve Howdy Doody. Walnuts. So yeah. What about yourself, Jess? What are you thinking about this one?
I love it. It's like, I think the nuttiness is also coming through as like this oiliness, like what you said, it was like chewy.
Yeah.
And it's like you properly want to like chow down on this whiskey. It's really nice. I love it. I was just like listening to everything, like just
this is what I think, like on the nose as well. It's quite herbaceous for me as well. Like there's like
the nose and the palate for me are like completely not completely different, but like I think the nose is almost like quite restrained, and you're like kind of, it's like a bit intriguing because it's got this like earthy kind of element to it, and then you get into like the dessertness of the palate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. Mike Pizarro, I thought the and would walk away with whiskey of the month, but this is also excellent. Yeah, absolutely. People really, really liking what
the rivalry begins.
The rivalry begins. So, like Irish whiskey at the moment is kind of like there's lots and lots of craft distilleries kind of popping up. And I suppose Glendalough with one of kind of the early.
Yeah, I guess so.
Where does it sit within that industry? Because it's hard to keep traditional with all the traditional Irish methods of making whiskey, but also be innovative at the same time.
Yeah, I think they're lying somewhere in the middle, because they do have like, obviously you've got the classic pot stills, and then they do have like the single grains. But yeah, once again, it's the wood that sets them apart. But they're still making whiskey the like traditional Irish way, but just using casks that we've never used before.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about the traditional Irish way of making whiskey?
Yeah. So
just for anyone that doesn't know, because we're talking about pot still whiskey, single pot still whiskey, and single pot still Irish whiskey.
Yes.
But what that means.
So pot still Irish whiskey is distilled in a pot still, and the laws of it is it has to be a mix of malted, unmalted barley, and a can of other cereals, but it has to be 30% malted and 30% unmalted barley at least. This one is 2/3 malted and 1/3 unmalted barley. The reason that Irish pot still started was actually as a tax loop in the 1700s. So we were producing so much single malt at the time, the most in the world, and it was so heavily taxed that some distillers realized that if we put a bit of unmalted in this, we won't get taxed as much.
Yeah.
And then that tax law.
So Irish.
Yeah. We make do what we have. But that law lasted for, I think, less than 100 years. But then that kind of became a staple and style of Irish whiskey. So people kept making it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Barry, this tasting note is one. Barry Morgan says, smells like make your own Play-Doh. When was the last time, Barry, you played with make your own Play-Doh? Well, cool. That's a good taste note. Tastes very different to its smell. That's what you were saying, Jess. It's very kind of, that happens often, like, you know, that kind of very different on the nose, and then you get something completely different on the palate and you weren't expecting it. Taste is nutty for sure. Colm McGoldrick, a herbal palate with lots of oak spice. Can taste the Christmas spices coming through too in the finish. Chris Randall, super long finish, spicy, smooth pear drops. Colm McGoldrick, very nice. It seems like this one is a real winner. Nice. What is next for Glendalough? Is there anything in the pipeline?
So I'm not sure what next release is. They do have, so we've only got the 3 whiskies in the UK at the moment. They have 3 more single casks, which are a Calvados XO, a Madeira, and a Grand Cru Burgundy. So I'm trying to convince people to get them over here.
Yeah.
But they're still in the same mold as all their other whiskeys. Everything is aged in ex-bourbon for 3 to 4 years, then finished off in a unique cask for 1 year.
Okay. And when will their own stocks be ready to make whiskey?
The distillery is still in construction at the minute.
Oh, it's in construction. Okay, right then. Okay, so
not for a long time. It'll still take
quite a long way away from that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I look forward to that whenever that time does come. I have to say, and there's time to try their own stocks. But what they have at the moment, this is absolutely stunning stuff, and it seems like everyone else really enjoyed it. So lovely to talk to you, Kealan. And hope to see you at the end for more whiskey shenanigans.
Thank you so much.
Cheers. You're welcome, mate. Okay. Right. That was really nice, that one.
Yeah.
Just a good whiskey to chow down on that. I'm good.
That was just like no filter. That was just my pure thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed.
I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. I'm going to use that in future whiskey tastings. Right. So we're going to stay around in Ireland for our early Paddy's Day extravaganza. And we are moving over to a really, really new Temris. I'm going to be speaking. Oh my God, I can't speak. Talking of speaking with the founder, Stephen Dillon. So let's welcome Stephen onto the screen. How's it going?
Hello. Hey guys, how are you?
Really good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having us on.
You're very welcome. You managed to try any of the jams from tonight?
No, I missed your box last week. I was actually in Mexico. Well, don't feel too sorry for me. So just got over the jet lag. But no, so apologies, I didn't get your box. But thank you very much for
There's no excuse in Mexico. You have a Ring doorbell, you can say, sorry, I'm in Mexico at the moment. I'm just
Tequila project. But
Tequila project. Okay. So I think talk to us a little bit about yourself, but also we'll get onto the distillery because you founded this distillery. But how did you get to starting a distillery?
Well, we don't have our own distillery for starters, but a bit about myself. I'm 30 years in the drinks industry for my sins. I started working off license at 17, got bitten by the wine bug, went pretty deep into wine for a long time, did the diploma in wine, then moved into craft beer, played in the craft beer space for a long time, did the craft beer sommelier exams, went pretty deep into craft beer, and now we're fairly deep in spirits. So we're kind of like prolific kind of brand developers, love the drinks industry and all its different wonderful facets, and love kind of creating and developing brands. And we're really, really proud of this one, Temris, which is our brand new whiskey.
Yeah, how did this begin, this brand?
Well, we have a company called InnoBev, so we're a bit crazy, but we're kind of like building out a full stack drinks company. So we've got a great vodka, we've got a great gin, we've got a great coffee liqueur. Whiskey was obviously an obvious one because we're actually based at my in-laws distillery, which is the Boan distillery in Drogheda, which you may have come across before.
Yeah, we've had them on.
Yeah. My brother-in-law Peter probably, but so we're based out of there, which is great. And kind of growing up and being a part of a big drinks industry family, it's kind of in the blood. And we've been fortunate to work very closely with them, and we kind of work together and share ideas and share expertise. Got
some pretty interesting shareholders in Obev as well.
It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Tell us about
that. So kind of strange story, but we got introduced to a guy called Swizz Beatz by a friend of mine. Don't know if many of you know Swizz Beatz. He's a Grammy award-winning hip hop producer. He's done a lot of work with like Beyonce, loads of artists. Really, really super cool guy, and we knew that he was into the drinks industry. He's involved in a mezcal. So we heard that he was coming to Dublin on his private jet, as you do, and you guys were like, "Hey, would you like to meet Swizz?" So literally had kind of 10 minutes in the car with them between Jet A and Jet B, and I kind of met him, and I was just like, "Hey, great to meet you." And we actually presented him with a certificate for a cask of whiskey from the distillery. And I kind of said, "Hey, I know you're passionate about music. I'm passionate about the drinks business." And he kind of went, "No, man, I'm passionate about all business." So anyway, he obviously had a few hours on his plane between Dublin and San Diego, and he was obviously reading the brochure and that kind of thing. And Monday morning, I was getting ready to go to work, and I get this phone call from the US, and it's like, "Blessings, it's Swizz." And he just kind of went off on his ambitions for the drinks industry and how he really wanted to get involved. And he's married to Alicia Keys. So the two of them have this incredible art collection called the Dean Collection. So we've got a really exciting project coming up, big release in May, where we're actually using some of the artwork from their private art collection, which is actually touring the world at the moment. It's currently in a gallery in Minneapolis, but it's on tour for 6 years. So we're using some of the art from the kind of living Black artists that they support on the labels. But we really enjoyed working together. I mean, he's just a super, super cool guy. He's very detail orientated, very passionate about everything he does, meticulous on detail. And
do you call him Swizz?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Beats or Swizz. So yeah, when we worked so well together, we said, listen, we've got all, like, in parallel, we were developing all these other brands, and we kind of sent him some Black Twist, which is our coffee liqueur, and sent him some of our other products, and he was kind of like, let's go, let's partner up on that. And we've been having an awful lot of fun. We've met up a good few times in San Diego, in London, in Venice, and Dublin, and it's always a great time. And he brings his aesthetic, he's very cool. But I say he's a real detail orientated and very passionate about the drinks industry, and he's got real big ambitions for the portfolio. But he loves Temris. Temris is the brand that he's super passionate about from our portfolio.
Okay, well then let's talk about the portfolio. Let's talk about Temris. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Temris, it actually comes from the ancient Irish word meaning a sanctuary or a sacred space. We're based, as I say, we work out of the Bohan distillery, which is based near the Hill of Tara, which is a very famous ancient Irish site, and like, it's the seat of the High Kings of Ireland, and actually St. Patrick has a connection to Hill of Tara, lit the fire of Christianity or something there. So quite topical for the weekend that's coming up. So we launched with Temris 5 and Temris 21, and we currently have a 12 in cask at the moment, which we're really excited to launch probably around May. It's currently in Oloroso, so we're just letting it pick up as much flavor and character as we can. But I suppose Temris 5 is our flagship product. We're really happy with the reaction we've got to it so far. I mean, straight up, it's unapologetically kind of very much a sherry forward. So this is kind of like probably good whiskey to finish on dessert.
This is giving me that kind of big plum, really juicy kinds of
exactly. Like, I kind of really like the description, kind of fig roll, so if you can imagine kind of making a kind of plum pudding at Christmas, it's I mean, that's I'm a huge sherry fan, and I love all the sherries. Really like Oloroso, big fan of PX. But I mean, the color and the flavor that it imparts at a relatively young age is pretty great. So yeah, compared to the 21, I suppose, and I don't know how well that's showing up, but the 21 was finished in Oloroso, and it's obviously it's darker because it's that much older. But for a 5-year-old whiskey, this is really kind of, I think,
they're not wildly different, actually.
Which?
Like, the color, actually, considering the age difference, is not as.
Yeah, exactly. This is actually a 6, so it was 4 years in bourbon and then 2 years in PX. But we put 5 in the label because we don't know if we'll, depending on demand, be always able to get the stocks of 6.
So do you think it's a whiskey that, because obviously you've got the PX and the Oloroso so far, do you think it's a whiskey that lends itself particularly well to sherry casks? Like, did you design it that way?
Yeah, well, we got a really kind of really happy with the base single malt that we were able to get access to. I mean, that was a great platform for layering on the casks and letting the casks work their magic.
Did you take that stock in with the sight of going, we're going to finish this and put this into things like PX and quite heavy casks like that and Oloroso?
Yeah. I mean, that's my preference, and I suppose everything we do is just genuinely guided by our palate and what we love to drink and what we really enjoy. I've always liked, Oloroso and the sherry cask finishes. I think they lend themselves very well to Irish whiskey. Some of the great Irish whiskies are typically finished in sherry casks. And I've always liked those kind of sweet, plummy, spicy, baked Christmas cake notes that you typically get from both Oloroso, and then I suppose the plummier and fruitier notes that you get from PX.
Yeah, it's really delicious. We've got lots of notes coming through. Black cherries featuring a lot. So we've got Peter Ray with lovely juicy black cherries. Nick Tarrant getting black cherry on the nose. Love this one. Chris Randall, singed sugar on the nose. David Bullock, fig snack bar topped with molasses. And then Colin McGoldrick, very dark nose. Tasting card pretty much hits the nail on the head. Treacle and fig rolls. Again, treacle and fig, like There's treacles
Yeah.
everywhere.
Cinnamon snap, candied walnuts, juicy plums.
We've got Steve Coleman Williams saying, "Oh, I'm mad for getting black olives on the nose," but I wonder if that's a sort of like rancio note from the sherry.
There could be some oak char. There's could be a little, what I like about this whiskey. I think there's the scent. You get a kind of consistent profile on the nose, the palate, and the finish. It's that fruity, oaky, spiciness on all three elements, which I find quite harmonious. And I think it's just a really enjoyable, sipping whiskey. It's not for mixing, or it's not a sort of Jameson. It's a step up. We think it's a premium sipping whiskey to kind of kick back and enjoy in your sanctuary, sacred space, chill, enjoy.
Definitely. We've got a little technical question for you.
Yeah.
Column's asking, is this a column still whiskey?
No, single malt. Yeah, so from pods, yeah.
Amazing. Again, sorry, more tasting notes. We've got real Boinga with dried figs, Christmas spices, covered in syrup, spicy coffee and plum pudding. Mike Pizarro, Temris has a very distinct nose. Dried fruits, like when you open a packet of dates. And people are just saying it's a beautiful dram. I was also curious about the logo, because you have a full bottle there. Is there anything behind that?
Yeah, so this is very much the Hill of Tara. So we've got the crown, which would represent the crowns of the High Kings of Ireland, which is where they would be sort of initiated as the new High King of Ireland would be at the Hill of Tara. So everything links back to the Hill of Tara and, our roots in the kind of Boyne Valley and in the region. We don't live too far from it at all. The distillery isn't far from the Hill of Tara. It's a 5,000-year-old, really important site in Irish history. And then we just really love the name, the idea of Temris sanctuary, and personally in this crazy world, I think everybody needs to just chill and sit back sometimes and reflect and have a great dram.
Yeah. What have you got next coming out after these?
Yeah, so really excited for the 12. That's currently finishing in Oloroso. The 21 is amazing. Yeah. We launched a initial batch, but a lot of the liquid is actually being used in this art project that we're doing with Swizz and Alicia. So there wasn't much left over, but we bottled there was 50 bottles left over from the initial batch. They're obviously gone. So we're releasing a very limited second batch of 21. And then, so the plan with the 21s is to kind of release them in batches, slightly different each time, different source liquid, and then different cask finishes.
Okay. Will you be disclosing where the liquid's from ever, or is that something you keep secret?
Not really. Some of the older ones, it's not, you don't have to be Inspector Morse. Like, it's either going to be like Bushmills or Cooley, because that's the kind of the old stuff. But with the sort of younger ones, where we can't say much about that one.
Yeah.
We're super happy.
It's kind of cool to release one as well at 5 years old. It's kind of feel like the whiskey industry has changed a lot. If you had released a 5-year-old whiskey, probably, I don't know, 5 to 6 years ago, people would have been like, that's nuts. You can't be really, I'm not going to drink that. It's 5 years old. But nowadays, people have changed their mind completely on drinking young whiskey. Ardbeg put out their 5-year-old Wee Beastie, stuck that in the supermarkets, and no one had seen that number on a bottle of whiskey ever, really. Released.
Well, we spoke a lot with our kind of American importer, and age statements are a big thing there before Trump potentially put 200% tariffs on us all. But like we're super proud of this product, and we felt that it deserved an age statement, not just to go out as a non-age statement. We think it's premium. And as I say, it's actually 6 in this, but we're not sure we'll always be able to get our hands on 6, but we're fairly confident we'll be able to get our hands on 5 on an ongoing basis.
Have you been trying to? You mentioned about how you're a big fan of sherry. Have you been looking at other sherry casks as well, other than Oloroso and PX?
We kind of have our hands full at the moment, getting kind of the art program and the working with the 5, the 12, and the 21. So my team just kind of say, I'd NPD all day long if I was just left, So but we're really kind of focused on trying to get these right, get these out into market, build them in the right way. And we're absolutely delighted with the kind of feedback we've been getting sort of early doors on this. And we are a very new brand. We're only recently released. Yeah.
Are you in, what markets are you in at the moment? Is it just the UK?
Just landed in the US, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's great. And that's really where the kind of Swizz partnership comes into play, because he's introducing us to a lot of his contacts over there and opening a lot of doors for us in the States. And we're in the UK, which is fantastic, and Master of Malt. And we're just actually at the Manchester Bar Show there. We got a great reaction at that as well. And then we're in some other smaller markets, around the place. But as I say, we're a very new brand. We're only really released about 6 months. So.
Oh, yes, it's great to see, though. It's nice to see new brands releasing such good quality liquid. Mike Pizarro saying, my wife recently bought some prune syrup for drizzling on, well, anything really. That's just trying to read it in the tone of voice I'm expecting this was written in. Tastes like she drizzled some in this. It's a really rich drink. Maybe too sweet for me, but I can taste the quality. I mean, you are going to get that with a PX cask. There's just no doubt about it.
Big time. I mean, it is a sherry, what people call a sherry bomb, like.
Yeah.
But lots of people love it, and if people want a slightly drier, then the Oloroso is less fruit forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people would think that when they're drinking sherry. I mean, to me, if I'm drinking sherry, I can have one glass of PX before I'm.
Oh yeah.
This not so much. I can have a few glasses.
Yeah.
Of this, but responsibly, obviously. But PX for me is just it's an after dinner one drink. I think anymore starts to make me feel sick. But the general notes of the PX, these are coming through so nicely in this. Those wonderful kind of black prune notes, really sticky, figgy kind of notes.
I just love the color it gives so quickly as well, because obviously the base sherry was so dark that it imparts so much color relatively quickly. So now we're delighted with it.
Absolutely. And just a couple more. Chris Rantle, this is to really be savoured, a lovely finish to the dram, especially for a 5-year-old. I think lots of people saying as well how it just is not showing being 5 years. I mean, I know you say it's 6 years old, but it's not. It's been rounded off quite nicely for such a young whiskey. It's not as it's definitely vibrant and youthful, but it's balanced.
Yeah, we're 46% ABV. We're non-chill filtered, and I think what we're really trying to do, and it's a bit of a balance here, we're really gentle filtration. So we're really trying to go easy and slow on the filtration to keep as much flavor. And I think some other whiskies may kind of chill filter or over filter, and it is a balancing act, but we do kind of filter as gently as we can. And I think that preserves all those flavonoids and compounds that you want to try to keep.
Steve Coleman Williams, this is a really beautiful jam. Peter Burrett, Christmas pudding in a glass, be great with cream, carefully poured on top.
Irish coffee, but just
Paul McGoldrick, spicy palettes on the nutmeg and cloves with a dark fruity finish. Very nice. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Stephen. It seems like everyone has absolutely savoured that one.
Hold on, we've got a question.
It's right there at the end. Right there. Welcome, Barry. Right there.
Sorry, it snuck in. I just had to completely cut you off. We've got a question from Barry saying, why filter at all?
Well, you need to, otherwise you'll get flocculation, and you will get basically, if it gets too cold, the fat compounds will clump together and will flocculate. So that's why I say it's a very fine balance. 46% ABV, typically, you shouldn't get any flocculation. And I think flocculation can be a good thing, because it's a sign of, that all the flavor compounds are actually still in there. But you need to filter a little bit, or you will have some sedimentation from the cask down the bottom of the bottle, which some consumers might find unsavory. Wouldn't bother me, but yeah.
Thank you. So I actually had a quick question of my own, which hopefully, I feel like it could be a big question, but I was just curious. Being curious. I just wanted to know, because obviously you made your way sort of through wine and then beer, and now you're in whiskey. Are they sort of worlds apart, or are there lots of things that you can take that you've learned in each one and apply to another? Because I guess there's always this element of blending. What have you found from switching between like the different kind of drinks?
Well, for me, it's always about taste. I mean, I love to cook, you know, and I'm cooking and I know when something tastes well, and you know, with great wine, you know, great wine, and you know, great craft beer, you know, great craft beer. So it's all about quality and flavor, like in everything that we try to do. I mean, there certainly would be some learnings from the wine industry, and a lot of it tends to be like family businesses, and you know, the importance of oak and casks, and you know, we would have spent time down in Jerez, and you know, become familiar with, I suppose, fell in love with the sherry, you know, world in Jerez. We drink a lot of sherry, which not enough people do anymore. It's a fantastic drink. But yeah, I suppose it's just a culmination of 30 years and kind of all the different categories. And I was in tequila last week, and you know, learned all about tequila. So yeah, just really love the industry, and you know, hopefully we've got a good palate, and we you know, just put our hearts and souls into what we put out, and hope people enjoy them.
Yeah, I love that. Flavor forward, the pursuit of flavor. Sorry, I will let you go now.
Thank you.
Or are we going to bring everyone back? No, we're not.
We have other drams, Jess.
We have quick drams. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself.
We're going back to Scotland. Thank you very much, Stephen, for talking to us about.
Great pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Hearing from you. Cheers. Yeah, we have other drams to drink.
What was I thinking?
What were you thinking?
Completely forgot about Scotch.
Yeah, how can you?
I'm going to get cancelled for that.
You can. Pour and sip cancelled. What are we starting with? So I just need to empty this glass before I put this Ballechin in, because I've actually not tried this yet.
All right.
And I'm super excited because it comes.
Tell me more, Andy. Tell me more.
Steve's got to jump off, but thanks for having him. You're welcome, Stephen. We will see you.
Oh, thank you.
What was I say? Where am I going? What were we doing? Ballechin, this one.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one, just on the basis that I absolutely love Edradour, and it's one of my favourite distilleries, and it's one.
I feel like even I knew that.
Yeah, I've always gone on about it. And one of the reasons I did, well, firstly, I think it's a very unsung hero of the Scotch whiskey distilleries and industry. I absolutely love it. And it's very, very old school. And someone trying to get onto this call at the moment with me? No, is it?
Oh.
No, just...
Did you press a button again?
No, I've not pressed any button. There's just a beep beep noise going. I just didn't know someone was trying to get back on. Anyway, one of my favourite distilleries, and often talked about as Scotland's, well, it's one of Scotland's smallest distilleries, but they often say it's Scotland's smallest distillery, Edradour. But it's an unsung hero, but it was recently bought, well, recently, it was bought by Signatory Vintage, and you might know they're an indie bottler. And they've kind of distinct bottles and very distinct lids. And caps, and you will see those now on the Edradour bottles. What I love about it, they're very, very much a sherry heavy distillery. You do get it in bourbon cask as well, and it's equally as good. It's just old school sherry. This is what I've always said. Like, we tend to think of it as it will be Oloroso now as these notes of Christmas cake, sweets, raisins, figs, all of these kind of things that I think is baking spices and stuff like that. But when I try Edradour, it's got this old, leathery, heavy, meaty kind of note, and I absolutely love it. So definitely been one of my favorite distilleries. And Ballechin, which I actually haven't tried all that much of, is the really heavily peated side of Edradour. And this one is a 13-year-old cask strength. What's it bottled at?
Woof.
Yeah.
54.9.
54.9. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And it's a combination of ex-bourbon and Oloroso sherry casks. And already off the bat, it's pretty full-bodied peaty. It's singing right at me. Very deep smoke, earthy richness, I said. But it is going to meet all of those kind of Edradour notes that you get with the dried fruits and dark chocolate. It kind of, I really just want to try this, to be honest with you, this one.
Well, thank God it's in the box.
Yeah, so are you going to drink it?
I'm not opening it tonight because
okay, well,
I'm going to try this Glen Garioch.
Okay,
and I feel like I can't go back from the Ballechin.
No, once you try it, I think it's going to be. But okay, you can talk about that. I'm going to drink this.
We're on different sides of the whiskey scale tonight.
Mm.
Is it up your street, Andy?
Oh, that
We've lost you.
that is so good. So good. Guys,
And we'll be having that one on like a...
that's the one. It's
night.
got the notes that I was talking to you about, those really kind of leathery.
Is it like a sherry whiskey for people who don't want fruit, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, the fruit is there. It's just
Yeah.
this kind of funkier note that you get with this one. And you get that as well when stuff like Kilkerran, when they do sherry wood, it tends to have that kind of vibe as well, that kind of old school sherry style. And this is one, and mixed in with that heavy peat. This is just absolutely brilliant. I'm going to sit with that one. Glen Garioch.
Glen Garioch. Yeah, Glen Garioch to some, Glen Garioch to most. So this is part of Glen Garioch's core range. It's the 12-year-old. I believe it was first released in 2010. And Glen Garioch, I feel like the distilleries always have some claim to being this one is one of the oldest operating distilleries in Scotland. Founded in 1797, which is old. And it's also its most easterly. So it's a Highland whiskey, but it's found sort of like between Speyside and the east coast in the Highlands. Glen Garioch's a funny one because the distillery had a revamp in sort of like a refurb in 2021, but it kind of had some of these retro editions of it reinstalled their own malting floor and also a direct fire wash still, which are both quite rare because they're both quite high effort, if you can say that. Like not many distilleries have their own malting anymore. And yeah, this is probably worlds apart from your Ballechin, Andy, because it's really lovely and like caramel and fruit forward. We've got like orchard fruits and tinned fruits, like a little bit tropical maybe as well. And the fruitiness comes from a clear wort, but a very strong recommendation for this one because of that fruitiness is to pair it with a Parmesan. Which, I mean, whiskey and cheese isn't a groundbreaking combination, but I like the specifics.
Specific.
Parmigiano Reggiano. Exactly. So yeah, and I actually can see this working really well in like a summery cocktail as well. Like, I mean,
Is it 48?
48%.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
So I feel like this, you could really bring out those like more floral, like stone fruity notes and get this in with like, I don't know, like I'm thinking about peach bitters. I'm going to work on something. I'll come back to you.
Yeah. Okay.
My inner bartender's coming out.
Yeah, it's worth noting as well that we talk about the old school stuff. I should have mentioned about Edradour as well. That they are very old when you get the worm tub condensers. We were talking about floor maltings just then, which is all exist. But we've spoken about, we had Dave Worthington talking about worm tub condensers and how the sherry whiskey and giving it that heavy kind of leathery note that you get from the worm tub condenser. So you'll get that as well from the Edradour. Very different to that Glen Garioch. Very different. Very, very different
You
drag.
can only pick one each tonight.
Yeah, I was about to say probably not recommended together in the same tasting right after each other.
Yeah.
Those two.
Simon's on the same wavelength as me and saving the Ballechin for the weekend.
Yeah, it's probably a wise idea.
Same.
But yeah, well, that rounds off a pretty special box. That's been stellar box as usual. Obviously. Now I think we've lost Sam.
Wicked has taken him.
Wicked has taken him. They didn't stop him from 2 minutes ago writing that was it when Stephen was talking, he said flocculation across the nation. There you go. I'm not scientific enough for that one. But Kealan is still with us. So
amazing.
I'll invite you back on the screen.
Last man standing. Well done.
Last man standing. Yeah. What did you think of those?
They're amazing. Those last two were very interesting. I did the silly thing of trying the Edradour first.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Glen Garioch, really nice. Really light. I see what you mean about peach bitters in there.
You're more of a bartender than me, so I feel like we can work on something together.
What cocktail would you be making with that?
I think if you did like a highball with
peach
or any kind of stone fruits in there.
And what kind of cocktail would you be making with that Ballechin 54% 13-year-old cask?
I'd be making a Manhattan and then going to bed. I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just someone had said earlier the drams have just got better. The Ballechin is amazing. I agree with everything you said, Andy. I think everyone should just
music to your ears there.
Yeah, just basically everybody should just be saying, I agree with everything you said, Andy. Everything I said is correct. No, there's certain distilleries I often get excited about. Edradour is one of them. Obviously, Springbank. I've done the same thing. But yeah. So anyway, the question, guys.
The question,
as always, going to be a hard one because they've all been very different, and I'm sure you've not. We've gone from Ireland to Scotland quite quickly. But let us know which your favourites have been from this box. Let us know your favourite. Top three. In order from 1 to 5, 5 to 1. Just let us know what have you enjoyed. So if you don't usually get involved in this little section of the Pour and Sip evening, do and just let us know. Yeah.
And then I think I quite like your question, Andy, which you always ask, which is a question for you, Kealan, which is other than the whiskies that you represent.
Which is quite a lot.
Which is actually cancels out quite a lot of the market. Yeah. What is something interesting that you've tried recently?
Oh, interesting recently. Actually, it was mentioned earlier, but the Boan whiskey from Meath, they've got a Marsala cask.
Oh, nice.
It is. I think that's a nice thing I've tried in a while.
Oh wow! I think we did have them on. I'm pretty convinced. It may have even been last year's St. Paddy's Day extravaganza.
My memory escapes me, but I think someone's going to be able to fact check that pretty soon. Look at
this. Everyone's just bigging me up in the comments. And Jeremy Anderson, Ballechin for me, very good. Andy rocks. Yeah, come on,
guys. Paying people like what's happening?
They know. My recommendations are strong, and when I recommend something, it's usually very good. This is very good. I'm pretty convinced we have Bowen on quite recently. Are there any other Irish distilleries? Did you say in the portfolio you've got? Is it just Glendalough?
Just Glendalough, just the one.
What was your nearest?
Mexican.
Yeah. What was your nearest distillery to where you grew up?
Growing up, it'd be like about an hour from Bushmills.
Okay.
But now there's Limavady whiskey, which came out like a couple of years. Limavady, it's called. It's like the Wolfhound whiskey. It's fairly new.
Yeah.
But that's probably about half an hour from where I'm from. But I'm not sure if they have a distillery or not.
Okay. A friend of mine's from Waterford, but sadly.
R.I.P. Yeah,
R.I.P. That's a real shame. We've had Waterford on before.
Yeah.
Good juice.
As well. Yeah, that was good juice. That is a real shame. The comments coming in now.
Okay. Oh my god, it's everyone's getting involved. Okay, right.
Oh, okay. Go, Jess, go.
I'm going. Okay. Oh my god, there's too many. Okay, so we have got David Woolcock. Out of the 3 featured, the Temris was his favourite, but having tried the Edradour, that was a clear winner. Jeremy, Ballechin for me. Barry, Temris. Nick, Temris. Simon, Saints and Sinners. Pexman says Ballechin wins first place, then Temris, then Saints and Sinners. We've got Curious Crandall, a top toss up.
Right, Jess. Chowing down too much whiskey.
Between Temris and the Glen Garioch. Steve, Hardididi, Saints and Sinners. Alex Battersby, Glendalough for me. Peter Ray, Glendalough number 1.
All right.
Steve Coleman Williams, Ballechin wins, followed by Temris and Saints and Sinners. Real Boy Girl, my favourite Irish whiskey is the Temris, but the Ballechin is my favourite. David, Saints and Sinners, but all 5 could make the list to Santa. It's a bit early to be talking about Christmas, to be honest with you, David, but I like the sentiment. Colin says Glendalough takes it for me. Very interesting and different. Steve Colin Williams, Temris pips it for me this evening. Clive Hampton, 3 distinct Irish whiskies. And the Saints and Sinners wins for him.
The SNS and R&R.
Yeah, sorry, that spun me out.
Yeah,
the abbreviation of all of the letters. And then Mike Pizarro. My favourite was the Saints and Sinners, but the Glen Garioch and Ballechin were close behind. That's a lot of votes for a lot of different whiskies.
I was on a real point saying, well, if Andy prefers peaty, then I agree with Andy.
Oh my god, I missed that one.
Of course you missed that one. Yeah, that one. I had to make sure it was put in. Anyone else? Yeah.
Anyone else voting for Andy?
Yeah. Vote for me, everybody. Vote for me. A vote for Andy is a vote for peaty whiskey. I don't know. But yeah, no, that's been a great box, I have to say, and they've all been great drams. And
I guess final question. What are you guys doing for St. Patrick's Day?
Oh.
How are we celebrating?
I actually have no idea at the minute. I'm for St. Patrick's Day. I'm doing a lot of traveling for work, and then I'm going to work at Spirits Festival in Edinburgh tomorrow. So I get back to London Sunday night, and then my girlfriend gets back from Australia Monday morning. So basically, it'll be if she wants to beat the jet lag, we'll do it. If anyone's in London, the WB Yates in Finsbury Park is my favorite Irish bar in London.
So not my ends, but I'll put it on the list.
That's a commute, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe a few sophisticated pints, but we'll see.
Very nice. At least you're not working too hard on the day, just the weekend.
I'll probably be working, to be honest with you. I often do.
Oh, damn.
But I might try near work. There's a little pub called Philomena's. Might try and go there maybe at some point. They actually have a really good whiskey selection there. It's in Covent Garden.
Very nice.
They have a very good, surprisingly good whiskey selection there of Irish whiskey. So I'll go there maybe during the break if you can even get in. To be honest, it's just like,
try your luck.
What about you, Jess? You going out?
I not specifically for St. Patrick's Day actually, but maybe now I'll save the rest of these and have them.
Okay.
I'll share them with my boyfriend because he's always like, "Why don't you do a whiskey tasting with me?" And I'm like, "Fine, you've got it on my board."
Well, that's been wonderful. I hope you guys have a good St. Patrick's Day, whatever you're doing, and we will see you back in April. What month are we in? It's already April next month. I mean, it'll be pouring at Christmas again soon. It's just
why is everyone talking about Christmas? I'm not happy.
Why, bud?
Yes, and thank you to all of our guests.
And thank you to all of our guests.
Present and not present.
Present and not present. Thank you, Kealan, for staying behind. And we will see you. Hold on, there's one more comment. I don't know. Whenever Jake's typing there at the end, should I just wait one more second before?
You just want it to be another
10 seconds before I'm going to wrap this up.
No, we're all good.
No, we're all good. Okay.
Amazing.
Thank you very much, everybody. And it was just a thanks all from Richard Wingrove. And Peter Ray's had a great time. Alex Batterby saying should be daylight next time.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. And we'll see you next month for more great whiskey. Enjoy.
Amazing.